Hello, and welcome back to the Average Movie Review Podcast. We are going to talk about Ironheart, the last 3 episodes of the season finale. Honestly, this will be spoiler filled, but to give you a quick spoiler free review, just go watch the show, man. It's good. It's good. Honestly, the last 3 episodes were amazing. Um, I think they handled a lot of things very, very well, and action was great. Good storytelling, emotional factor was there, and great reveal and twists. Totally worth it. Go give it a watch. Now, if you stayed past this point of the video, then this is all spoiler filled. So honestly, deal with it or don't. To be quite honest, no one ever listens to this shit anyway, so it's fine. So just me talking to myself at this point. But yeah, anyway, let's continue. Okay, so episode 4. I really like that episode. It it did really well with the emotional factor of the last 3 episodes. What I think it proved was that the show actually needed 10 episodes, because I feel like a lot of this stuff could have been put into much more detail. Like, we could have gotten a lot more detail if and a lot more story as well if this was spread out a little bit more. But given the episode constraint that they have, I have to admit, Ryan Coogler did an amazing job. Amazing job. I loved episode 4. I thought it was very funny. They dealt with a lot of Riri's anxieties and everything like that. It reminded me somewhat of like um, Iron Man 3, when Tony was kind of going through the anxiety and all of that stuff, and Riri kind of fighting it, her trying to figure it out. They also introduced Zelma, who's a witch, I guess. A new character that brings a lot of energy to the show, and I think is a great addition to the show as well. Them figuring out where the hood was coming from, saying that it might be channeling dark magic, all of that stuff. Very, very cool. Again, very, very well written episode. There was a lot of emotional factor. The big reveal of Xavier finally getting to meet the AI that is Natalie. You know, him having the complete opposite reaction, going off on Riri. Riri honestly giving him a hug and saying, "I'm tired." Like, I felt that personally. I was like, yo, I can imagine this girl has been going through so much shit, right? Her finally opening up to her mom, trying to ask for help and all of that stuff. And honestly, Ronnie is the goat of the show. I loved it. I loved her parenting style. I loved everything about it. I loved how she can be mad, but she can also be so caring, and she's there for her kid. It's a big, big deal. Honestly, it's a big deal. So I love that. I love that about that episode. Overall, it was a wholesome episode, in my opinion, but still a good story progressor. And, we get to see the hood kind of spiraling down towards pretty much the end of his career, I guess, right? Him kind of spiraling out and, setting that hit on Riri, and then pretty much taking out Ezekiel from jail and whatnot. One thing that really confused me is that, I don't know if anybody remembers, but wasn't Obadiah Stane like not a good man? Like, in the sense that, like, wasn't like, doesn't the media portray him as not a good man? He tried to kill Tony and all that shit, the Ironmonger. Like, did they hide that? I feel like they did. Maybe they did, and I just didn't pay attention. Maybe it was at the end of Iron Man 1 they explained that, but I don't remember. Um, but I'm pretty sure everyone knew he was the Ironmonger, and he was fighting Iron Man in the middle of the street. So I guess I don't know, man. Maybe, I don't know. That was a little weird to me. Everyone kept saying, "What about his father's legacy?" and blah 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 blah. And I was like, boy, I think you all hate him anyway. Like, he's a bad guy. Like, what the hell are we talking about here? I was really confused about that. Um, and another thing that I always wondered, and I don't know why shows don't do this, and I think it's just like a choice that they do, is like, can't remember if the Vision is in episode 5 or if it's in episode 4, but I think it's at the beginning of episode 4 where we see the Hood, right, Anthony Ramos's character, um, Parker and his cousin John, and they're robbing the house, right, which is revealed later to be very important. And they're not wearing gloves. Like, why do thieves not wear gloves in movies and TV shows? Like, it's the dumbest thing at this point, day and age. Like, I feel like those guys should be smart enough to be wearing gloves. Like, how are you not wearing gloves? That is just so stupid. And it's like small detail, but it like kind of throws you off. And I don't know why they don't do it. But anyway, continuing on, I think that was just my little like confusion moment. Moving on to episode 5. I think it was a really, really good episode, especially the White Castle scene. And it reminded me again of Iron Man 3 when he was in that kitchen trying to fight off those two villains from, what was that company called? Hive or whatever they're called, right? And he's just using just parts around him trying to figure out what to do and whatnot, and like, blowing up a microwave and all that other stuff, and Riri again building things on the go and fighting her way out of there really showed who she is. And like, I think there it is the comparison that she is not disrespecting Tony, but she is Tony in that sense, right? And again, I still don't understand where that hate is coming from, where people are saying it's a disrespect to Tony, blah blah blah. She thinks, no, she's just asking questions. She's just saying things because she is the one in poverty. She is the one going through it. If she really knew that maybe she would know that, Tony, even if he was poor or whatever he would still be able to do what he's doing today, right? And she wants to show that she is just as smart as Tony. She's taking it kind of the wrong way, but she's still respecting him no matter what. There's no disrespect. I don't know why people are saying that online. It's just stupid, but this show kind of proves that she is Tony in that sense. You know, down, got no money, got nothing, and yet still using her brains to get herself out of situations. Honestly, crazy shit, in my opinion. Zeke finally becoming Zeke Stain, becoming a villain. Again, it's if there was enough, I guess, exposition for him to do that. I hope I used the word correctly. But I still feel that if this was a 10 episode series, the fight would have mattered a little bit more, and there would have been a little bit more of an emotional value to it, right? Two friends who are turned against each other, right? Like, they could have used it. It's a simple trope that everyone uses, but like in this case, it was just so rushed. It was like, okay, we kind of saw it coming, right? And there wasn't much of an emotional factor to it. That fight scene was great. The CGI again. Shout out to Marvel. Got to give credit where it's due. They nailed it. CGI was perfect. The scene where she gets her suit, she jumps in midair and she beats the crap out of the car. Honestly, awesome. Um, what I also love about these episodes is the comedic timing of certain things. Perfect. Honestly, I'm laughing. I don't know if you are, but I'm laughing because it's perfect. I know I had to throw that in there, but going back to the fight scene, very, very well done. Zeke did a wonderful job. Aldrin, amazing actor, played his role perfection. He accepted who he was and all of that stuff, and I absolutely loved it. That was really well done. Her kind of realizing that she still needs other people to help her and all of that stuff. And then, going back to her dad's garage, that scene with the moment of where they were doing like the flashback memory, that was also very well written. Again, emotional factor, 10 out of 10. You feel for it, right? And I love the line that says that, when you think about all the sad memories and everything and it winds, like it's inside of you, you forget about all the happy ones. And that's so true, right? When you're sad, you're only thinking about sad things, but you forget about all the good memories you might have had with someone, or you might have, experienced with someone. So honestly, great, great writing there. You might be a glitch, but you might glitch. Like, simple things like that. The delivery, amazing. Dominique Thorne, give her roses. Honestly, she's not a thorn. Give her roses. Absolutely phenomenal as Riri Williams. Great casting choice. She is perfect for the role. So she deserves all her flowers for that. And then moving on to episode 6, which was a complete banger, actually. The biggest twist of all, opening up in episode 6, was Mephisto. Right, we finally get to see Sasha play Mephisto, and I guess you couldn't have found anyone better because he's kind of a devil in real life, considering what he says and spews on the internet. Makes sense that he would play, and he looked menacing too. Honestly, I hated his teeth, and they kept focusing on it, and I'm like, it was perfect. They made him actually look like the devil that he is. So great for him. He's doing he did a wonderful job playing the character as well. We got a small reveal, right? It's not completely revealed until the end that he is Mephisto, and um, leading up to, we get a little background on Ramos' story, who he is, what he wants to do, how he got to where he is, right? In the previous episode, I believe at the end of the episode, he is it the end of the episode? No, it's the beginning of this episode where he takes over. No, it's the end of episode 5, actually. Yeah, he takes over his dad's business, right? And we find out like the person he was robbing in episode 4 was actually his father, and then their relationship and whatnot. And it was nice to see that it wasn't anything like we should feel bad for him. He knew what the choices he made, and his dad was just an asshole, to be quite honest. His dad said like, "I don't even want you," and I was like, "Damn, bro, like I get it, like that's crazy," you know. So I love that they stuck with the villain is a villain trope again. Perfect. That's how we want it. That's what we like. We don't need any redeeming shit. We just need villain as a villain for the sake of being a villain. Moving forward, we get to see the new suit. New suit looks great. The infusion of magic, even better, amazing. Um, and then we lose Natalie in that process, which was kind of sad to see her kind of spiraling out and wondering. And then, it is a very important part, but I didn't think it would be that important until the end and how much it affects the ending of this show. So kudos to them for that. Like, her losing Natalie in AI and then it's like losing her best friend all over again, part 2. And it must have hurt her so much, right? And it influences and it makes sense to the decision that she makes at the end of the show. And then her going and fighting Zeke, right? That, again, another fight scene, great. Them working together to kind of get Parker's control out of Zeke. And then what I loved about this is what Ant-Man and the Quantumania was trying to do with Ant-Man and MODOK, but they just never got it right because it was just too cringy and too cheesy. But what I loved about this one, the battle between Riri and Zeke, was when Riri said, "Are we friends?" And he said, "No, but for now we're good, but don't think we're done." Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's still bad. He's still going to be himself regardless, but they have a mutual respect for each other. It was like I don't know, it was like even like an Optimus versus, Megatron moment, right? Like, there's hatred, right? But when they're defeated, like, they have a respect for each other, right? Like, he knows that Riri will never kill him. So, he says to her, like, I respect that, but we still fight. Like, I'm still your villain. Like, I'm still gonna be your villain, and I love that. I absolutely love that. I hope they continue that. I hope they bring him back. I don't know if there's going to be a season 2, but if there should be, considering what they kind of ended in, it's gonna be good, right? And I hope it gets a 10 episode season 2 because we need that, and I want Zeke to be like her enemy. Like, I want him to like ruin her life and put her through hell, and like I want them to fight it out to the death. And I absolutely love the fact that they remained him to be a villain, not just some guy who's like, yeah, okay, we'll be friends and we're good to go. No, he said, we're still not done yet. Loved it. And then moving on, the fight scene between Hood and her, it was good, but it could have been better. I feel like I wanted to see more bullets flying. I wanted to see some more action. I wanted to see a little bit more fist to fist, hand to hand combat, but we didn't really get that. It was a very quick scene. I loved the CGI scene. I'm sorry, the projection scene. The CGI was a little bit bad, I'm not gonna lie, but the projection scene was done so well where we thought that Riri suit blew up, everything was done, and then it turns out it was a projection, and I was like, damn, you even got me, girl. Like, shit, that was really good. I'm not gonna lie. I knew that she would have lived. I just thought maybe the magic would have came out of her and like protected her or some shit, right? But I just didn't expect it to be a projection. That didn't even, you know, it didn't even cross my mind. So shout out to them. Amazing, amazing job. Another scene I want to mention was the scene between Mephisto and the Hood in present time, right? And he's like asking Mephisto for more powers. Again, Sasha did a wonderful job. And so does Anthony Ramos, and they do such a good job. And because of Anthony Ramos, like we feel the power of Mephisto. You know what I mean? Like, we feel the fear that he feels. So shout out to him again for doing a wonderful job on that part too. And then she beats the Hood. She goes downstairs, and guess who's waiting? It's Mephisto. He sits her down. He has a conversation with her. He's trying to get her to join, right? And then there's a scene. What I loved about it, somebody tweeted it, and I saw it before watching the show, but it was like the tag or the tweet was like, the devil is in the details, and then he's spitting the spoon, and then he takes out the spoon, and out of the reflection we can see his true face. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. Like, that's a great way to tease how he looks and what he is. Again, beautifully done. They have their conversation again. Sasha is doing a wonderful job as his character, or really just playing himself, to be quite honest. Riri and him are having a serious conversation. I love when Riri was like, when he says his name, Riri's like, is that supposed to mean something to you? Girl, that means something to us. We've been waiting for months. We've been speculating, and now he's finally here. So let us have our moment, right? After that, we cut to a flash, which is like a future scene, I guess, right? Her in like kind of in with the afro and everything, giving that Ironheart comic book look and everything, and her like trying to figure things out. And then we see Natalie, and automatically you assume that, oh, she made the deal with the devil and bought back Natalie. But it cuts back to them sitting down again, and you're like, oh wait, maybe this was just like foreshadowing what would happen if she actually did, or she's just envisioning, or she's seeing a vision of what's going to happen, right? And there's a little bit of a back and forth, and you're like, Riri's not going to do this. Riri's not going to do this. This is crazy. How is that even possible? Riri would never do this, right? And then she asked the question, like, if you if we do this, like, what are you going to take, right? And he's like, something you'll never miss, which is your soul, I assume. And then, she says, but it would only be me. And he's like, yeah, only you, right? Like, it would only be between us, right? And I'm like, yo, that's crazy, right? And she like thinks about it, right? And then she's talking to Natalie in the future, right? Which is, I guess, now the present. And Natalie's acting all weird. She has no idea what the hell she's talking about. What are you talking about? And then she touches her, and you're like, oh wait, that's really her. So she she was bought back from the dead, right? And you're like, okay, again, this is just a thought, this is a vision, this is not real. Like, Riri Williams would not be this stupid to make a decision like that. And then at the end of the episode, we find out when she hugs her that when in future Riri, or technically present Riri, hugs Natalie, her skin starts to make the marks that Anthony Ramos' skin had, or the Hood skin had. And you're like, oh shit, she did make the deal, and this is all real. And like, what the hell does this even mean, right? And then that's it, cut to black screen, and you're like, this is ridiculous. Like, what the hell did we just watch, right? And then we also had a post-credit scene of Anthony Ramos meeting Zelma, and I'm sorry, I keep calling him Anthony Ramos, but the Hood meeting Zelma and then talking about magic. And it seems like he's still trying to get that power, and he's going to make Riri Williams' life hell. Who knows? Or he's trying to fight Mephisto. I don't know what it is, but he's still looking for a way to come back into the game, right? So that's, again, opening more and more new doors. So that's pretty awesome as well. Yeah. So overall, I think the series is a good series. I Given the time, sorry, not time, but episode constraint of 6 episodes, I think they did a wonderful job in kind of building up the last 3 episodes. Even though I still feel like there was so much more room for detail, and if this was a 10 episode series, I think this would be honestly a solid 9 out of 10 series. I'm gonna give this series. I'm gonna give it like a 7.5 out of 10. I think it could have been better. It could have done a little bit something different, but it's still a good show. And the people that are shitting on it, I feel like they're just not, they're just being racist, or they're just being assholes. It's a really good show. And the reason why I'm giving it 7.5 and nothing higher is it's not to the actors or like, anything else. It's mostly towards Marvel. These are the type of shows I think people would want to watch. These big reveals at the end, bringing in new characters that actually mean something, giving us an emotional value to the character, just like how Loki did. Like, Loki, I believe, was also only 6 or 7 episodes, but Loki built that, right? From season one. We built that up until season one. And with Ironheart, we're just starting off, and I feel like we need 10 episodes to build that world properly, to give them what they're due, right? To give them that right amount of, I guess, like, time in the spotlight. But despite that, doing a 6 episode series, Ryan Coogler managed to give us amazing, amazing value for this series. So shout out to him to take what they gave him, and literally when they gave him lemons, and this guy made lemonade. That's the truth. Honest to God, he made lemonade, and it's perfect. It's perfect in that way. But yeah, Dominique Thorne, great casting, great job. Everyone on the show, amazing, amazing job. I found it funny. I found it fun. I found it action packed. Great storyline, great twists. we finally have Mephisto. He is now in the MCU officially. He is here. We're here, and the ending leads to so many more different things, and I hope they follow up. I hope they give these people a season 2. You can make this a 5-season show and it'd still be worth watching, as long as you have this type of writing and this type of action, and you actually put some effort into it. I promise you, you've got yourself a great streaming show. So Marvel, if you're listening, keep this shit up, keep it going. Don't let this be a loose end show, in the sense that you never end up kind of following up on it, and all of this hype for nothing. You've introduced a massive villain into the MCU. Make sure he's being utilized, and on top of that, you just made a hero take make a really bad decision. Utilize that. Show us that. Show us the fall from grace, or the grace from the fall, something like that. Anyway, yeah. So definitely give it a watch. It'll be worth your time. I'd love to hear from you guys, if anyone is listening, what you guys think, and catch me on the next one. Have a wonderful night, guys.